Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Baseline Protocol SSC Steering Committee. Got a lot of people on the call today already, and we've got a great session today. Lots of exciting news and exciting things to go over. Everybody strap in for a wild ride into the fall. I'm going to share screen and we'll go over the agenda. Is there anybody on the call who would like to announce themselves or say hello, who's not either been on the call before?
Hello, I'm Anaïs. I apologize for the accent. I'm French, as you can probably tell, but I'm based in London. It's my first time on the call. I discovered the project, or the initiative, I should say, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm really excited to be part of it, hopefully, and to contribute to the best. So just a bit of my background, maybe. I've worked and supported global enterprise programs in corporate environment, mostly in global company based in the UK, so FTSE 50 company, so mostly in the publishing, events, and ad tech industries. Yes, I see a great potential and great application for the Baseline protocol. So yeah, that's it.
Welcome, Anaïs. It's really good to have you here, and we're excited. I saw your Slack messages, and we're really great to have you on team.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hey, John. Shall I do a quick intro? Because I think this might be my first SSC.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. And by the way, for folks who can and aren't too embarrassed by it, it's always great to see folks' faces and that sort of thing. So when you can, that'd be great.
Can you see my camera? I've got two screens, so sometimes it's a bit funny.
No, just see a black screen, but that's okay.
Let's see if that works. There we go.
Yeah,
hey, everybody. So good to meet you. My name's Alesh. Great to be part of the Baseline community. Just to give a little bit of context, so I'm one of the co-founders of a company called Trustworks, which is a UK fintech specializing in various components of smart contracts payments, let's say. And the reason we're part of this call is A, we love Baseline, we think it's going to transform the world, but also we've been working on a solution called Gas Pump, which basically solves the Ethereum/ERC payment problem. So in essence, what we're building is a regulated interface, which enables enterprise to pay for gas fees in fiat, let's say, billed on a net 30, net 90 basis, and basically bill in such a way where they get a bit of continuity in terms of their billing cycle. So if anyone has any questions, ideas, feel free to shout out.
That's pretty exciting. Thanks, Alesh.
Pleasure.
I know there's a variety of folks that are jumping into that space, and it's a good one to be in, I think. Clearly with baselining, people are going to need that. 60, 70, 80% of the companies that I've talked to can't touch that crypto, but they want to run transactions, or they need to power their IT, their baselining activities, among other things. So it'd be great to hear from you on that. Anybody else?
John, this might be a good week for me to introduce myself.
Absolutely.
Given my failure with the microphone last time. Hi, I'm Tom. I'm one of the co-founders of Aztec. We're a privacy system on Ethereum. I think this week's a good week to introduce myself, because on Friday we deployed, as part of the Reddit competition, we deployed the first ZK rollup to Ethereum. So this is scalable, fully programmable private transactions on Mainnet. It is in alpha and must not be trusted with user funds just yet. There's a very pricey audit ahead of us. We will be spending probably the next 4 to 5 months reducing the circuit sizes, but we're already at a stage where private transactions can be done between 12 and 30 seconds on the client, and then you get settlement within 3 minutes, fully private, and we can actually get these private transactions already faster than ERC20 transactions on mainnet, and we'll be at 100 TPS by the end of the year. So we've also got a language called Noir, which is being built at the moment, a DSL for programming privately on Ethereum. And so if anyone's interested in participating, I know we've already spoken to Consensus Health, Bill Gleim and his team, but if anyone else is interested in that, we imagine we'll be able to make the first presentation in September. Thanks.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful news from everybody. Anybody else? We got one more. Okay. I see a lot of other folks on the call. All right, so we'll review minutes briefly from 83. Actually, it's 84, and interlock on the TSC items. The primary TSC item that we need to interlock on is that we will be doing the technical steering committee voting for the technical steering committee, and my job as the chair will be up for a vote in September. And I will say, I'm going to say every time, every meeting, the only way you get a vote is by contributing something to the main branch. So do a pull request, spell check something, get it merged, and you'll sign the ICLA at that point, and you will have a vote. You could donate $1 million to the baseline project, and you wouldn't get a vote unless you contribute code. So please, if anybody is unfamiliar with how to do that, let me know. And not everybody's a developer, but a lot of people have something to contribute, even if it's in, especially, frankly, if it's in the documentation area. Those all count. A spell check counts. So hope to see a lot of contributors, and then we'll get the vote going in September. Working on that right now with the OASIS team. So that's the main item to interlock on with the TSC. Maintainers on the call, is there anything I'm missing there that this team needs to be aware of? Just as a quick reminder while the maintainers think about that, this call is about the roadmap ahead, making sure that folks that have new things that are getting cooked up get volunteers for it, and that progress is being celebrated. So, and then the TSC is our governing body for, maintaining the code and making sure that any disputes on who gets to be a maintainer and that sort of thing is covered. So this is the sort of forward-looking highlighting of cool things that people ought to know about so that they can contribute and help. Right? So that's the job. So I see Kyle. I see. See a bunch of people, but Kyle, do you want to say, is that effectively what we need to know about TSC? Anything else on the maintainer side?
Yeah, I don't think anything else at the moment. Okay,
cool. Obviously, we have a big thing to talk about, but we'll do that on the road mapping session with regard to the NIT core. So get ready for that. I'll just go back to the previous minutes from July 20th, and we'll review, and if there are no objections, we'll commit them. So we had Rodolphus and Steve Smith presented project plans for Autodesk, an Autodesk idea. That resulted in some conversations with Stefan and Christian Schmiedel from Fraunhofer, who were working in an adjacent area. So I thought that was very nice that they were kind enough to contribute insights and ideas to that thought, and so that project is moving along. Jimmy Lentz from Duke University confirmed that several members are engaging the grad students to work on projects. And that I know of several things that have occurred this last week on that. So, University of Santa Barbara, UCSB, has joined the fight, and a number of other universities that are starting to get interested in baselining and seeing if their students can get involved. So that's really good news. Hey, by the way, I'm working with a new mic. Can you hear me okay? Great.
Loud and clear.
Thank you. There were recent announcements by Chainlink to work on a project using Google BigQuery. I'm not sure, there's a person from Google that now is going to be on regularly, as I understand. Really awesome person, but I'll let them introduce themselves going forward. So the and there was a great excitement about basically using oracles via Chainlink and BigQuery and stuff, and so that's all in Epic number 89. And now I've seen two others that we may be able to review before time's up today that seem to have similar attributes. Talked about the voting issue, community growth. We're going to talk about Init Core again today because we are now on the cusp of releasing that. So get ready, Kyle. There were demos, Baseline as a Service, and DocuSign. Had very positive conversations with DocuSign this week. So hopeful that we'll be able to coordinate with them. They seem to be very, I think they were quite pleased that was happening. And yep, Jonathan discussed number 175 in the Baseline repo. And yeah, Bill discussed Epic number 12. And I think Hadass is on today to discuss that in more depth, I think. I don't want to put her on the spot if she's not here yet. And then just as a reminder, there's a YouTube, in here is a YouTube video for anybody that doesn't know how to do, I'll put that in the chat. Anybody that doesn't know how to do a new Epic or a new project, that should walk you through doing it. Let me know if that works for you. And that's, yeah, and I think we may have some discussion today also on EDI projects. And Avia Kraft is going to be here today. I think, Avia, you're online. Are you here?
Yep, I'm here.
Great. And I think you're going to discuss the deck.
Yeah, so I'm going to briefly go over 2 decks and an update about the upcoming video.
Terrific. Right on. So without further ado, do we have any dissension on the minutes, or can we improve them? All right, no dissent, approved. All right, so going back over to our minutes. Happy August, everybody. All right, so we've got some momentum today. I don't know how many people have seen yet, but Kyle, perhaps, or Stefan, if you're on, you are. Perhaps you can. I think this is definitely the lead of the show today. Can you say a few words about the news you just made?
Kyle, I leave the stage to an ad.
What's that?
Just start, and I will add if I have any comments.
Sure. So I'm happy to announce that Provide and Unibright, working with Kona Services, that's Coke One North America, is starting a project to basically create a Coca-Cola bottling harbor. That's Andrei Simonov's coined way to describe this. It's going to essentially enable sort of low barrier network onboarding for the Coca-Cola bottling suppliers in North America. It's pretty exciting. Andre couldn't be here today, but we're looking to have him, myself, and Stefan on the Baseline show next Wednesday, and then I believe the next SSC call we will be able to flesh out the public-facing Epic for this project. Definitely exciting. It's humbling to be able to introduce Coca-Cola to the Baseline community. Stefan, did I miss anything?
No, it's perfect summary. What I personally also find very interesting and exciting about this case is that there is an existing Hyperledger fabric-based blockchain solution in that environment already, and that it will be exciting to see how Baseline can add to this, can extend, can integrate. And for us, it's also a sign of the times that it's in the current discussions with potential clients, we're not only talking about off-chain systems like, or ERP systems like SAP, but also existing distributed ledger networks, for example, on Hyperledger or Corda. And it will be very exciting to see how these play together with Baseline, and perhaps this is just the first, or one of the first projects where we can learn something about that and also contribute all the learnings and outcomes in that sense to the protocol.
Yeah, by the way, I'm here on the call with Jonathan. We're a little bit late with our demo, but yeah, we're on it. Hopefully we'll make it on time for the 3-minute video as well.
Awesome. It's funny. I was glad you said something. So Hasera is an expert in Fabric. So if you guys need a hand on that side of things, it's good to have Jonathan and team aboard. So you might want to give him an audible on Slack or.
Yeah, we started something, and then let's do it this week. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, it's York, John. The Hyperledger Fabric implementation was done by SAP. So it's sort of an SAP Hyperledger Fabric on Azure type of implementations.
What does it mean, like a REST API or gRPC?
Yeah, I don't know the details behind that, Jonathan.
Okay, fair enough. No, but if it's custom like Oracle, then it's different. That's why we can talk about it, sure.
It's probably custom. Yeah, it's probably custom, Jonathan.
Yeah. Okay.
Very exciting news. And by the way, I'll repeat. We got some feedback that'd be nice to have more of the Brady Bunch experience with people's faces on Zoom, because this does get recorded and people like to see it. So, and I think, frankly, I was getting sick of seeing my face up there and without anybody else either. So. It's good to see some shiny faces on the call. So if you can, please open up your video. If you're not comfortable with that, don't worry about it. Right. So, there you are, York. That's a really cool virtual background you got, by the way. Oh, okay.
It's actually not virtual. It's a hotel deck in a wooded area.
Beautiful. Right. So, that congratulations to both Unibright and Provide for that. That's just a great piece of news, and on that sounds like we'll get them on the next SSC. And I think you guys are going to do the Baseline show this week or next week, right?
I think next week it would be preferable. I know we already have something scheduled this week. I think that works out better for Andre as well. So. Oh,
fantastic! The new head of the EEA, Dan Burnett, who is also a Baseliner, will be, and also a member of our board of our governance board of the Ethereum Oasis project. So he is now the head of EEA. And we'll be coming on the show this Wednesday at noon U.S. Eastern Time. So hopefully everybody can join to have Kyle Ellicott in conversation with him. Here's my PSA for the day. All right, so moving back onto the agenda. Do we have some other celebrations that I didn't know about? Anybody like to make an announcement? Okay. So feature project status is once again this week is going to be the init core. So let's get an update on that. Maintainers, Kyle, you obviously have the honors on that. So where are we at? What is our status? What do people need to know?
So we're looking at I guess TLDR, we're looking at getting the do not merge label removed from the PR early this week. And I think we're looking at the 20th for the official release. We may merge the branch prior to the 20th and then cut the release on the 20th. I think that's sort of the trajectory we're on. Yeah, I think that's sort of the update in a nutshell.
Right on. Just for people who are new to it, let's give some context on what Init Core is and what they need to know about it.
Yeah, sure. So it's Init Cores is an initial set of core, for lack of a better word, core packages that describe and define the baseline protocol. They're modular in that you can pick and choose which packages that you're going to adopt. Primarily, those are most importantly messaging, the baseline API, and the privacy package. There are a few other packages that you'll want to look at, but those are sort of the three primary drivers behind the baseline pattern. And it also includes a reference implementation or example app that uses these new packages alongside. So you still will see like Radish 34 is now an example application or the initial reference implementation, and there's a new baseline app example implementation that demonstrates the baseline pattern using the Init Core packaging.
So this is really the start of the real protocol work, right? So and that folks. So Anais, I know you're interested in standards development. Brian Chamberlain also very interested in the standards development. We have people like Chet Ensign who are the OASIS representatives for the whole standards development core for OASIS. So we've got a pretty good crew that's forming up around this. And as the 20th hits, I think that's when the standards and early specifications work really gets going. So just be aware that, this is the first chance where we'll be able to say, yep, here is a set of standard interfaces. Here's how we think this implements, and we can start to look at what are the should-haves, must-haves, must-not-haves in that specification. Right, so this is a big red letter date. So the 20th looks like we're on a glide path to it. I was reading the docs, Kyle, yesterday, and yeah, we've got a lot of work to do on the docs yet. Folks that are reviewing the code seem to be happy, but lots more work there. Stephen, it'd be great to get maybe we can get our friends over at Whiteblock to take a look and kick it around as well before we release it. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Applause. All right, very good. I will now do a quick update on status. As of the 26th, which was, I do this every TSC meeting, which is every 2 weeks, on the Thursday opposite us. So on the 26th, the numbers were 187 active community members at any given time. Total community members of 600 now, 601, past 600 this last week. Twitter followers of 3467, I think it keeps going up. GitHub stars at 351, still right ahead of Besu even, and Besu is a pretty notable project. Forks are hitting 90, getting close to 100. New clones, 48 in that last 2 weeks. Unique visitors to the GitHub, pages, not like the fancy stuff, the GitHub stuff, 394 unique visitors, several thousand sessions, 2,500 if I remember correctly. Now here's where it doesn't look great until the 20th. GitHub commits to main 0 in that previous week because it's all happening in forks And, you know, when we get past this big bolus of code that's going to come out on the 20th, the maintainers are going to be pretty rigorous in promoting, encouraging, helping, and enforcing small code updates to main, so that we can.
There's like 200 plus commits that will get merged.
Right on. GitHub commits to all branches, 101, but that was over the previous month. I expect that's going to explode in August because of the, GitHub active committers, 7. And again, this is artificially low because a lot of things are happening in clones, and my dog is barking for some reason. Don't know why. Yeah, so these numbers need to and will go up. It looks wrong because it's just the folks that are merging to main for mainly init core. So we need to get that up. GitHub contributors total are 13, maintainers are 8. SSC members are now nearing 100. And new master epics are up at we had 3 last week with 29. So those loosely represent the major projects that are going on. That's where we're at. Any questions, thoughts? Nope. Anyone? I'm opening up one thing that we came up with last week. So going forward, if this is our road mapping thing, I think this is important to understand for anybody that's doing work on the protocol. Do a little benchmarking. So here are your numbers. These are the numbers for the worst case scenario, least optimized benchmark for what you can do baselining on the Ethereum mainnet today with no improvements to the Ethereum mainnet, no batching, no rollups, no. I was talking to somebody yesterday over the weekend about it might be a thing that we can do to have some of these things baked into pre-bakes into the Ethereum mainnet, so that it would lower the gas costs. But as it stands, we can do it's roughly about a 50,000 gas per work step. Work steps are mostly what we talk about. There are a couple of setup steps and other things that cost more gas, but they're not as frequent. And assuming about 42 Gwei per gas and around a $300 ETH, it's going to cost about 63 cents per work step. So a purchase order, master service agreement, an invoice. And you can do about 42 of those a minute and about 1.8 million a month. And if you play that out, and the thing you want to think about if you're developing applications and you want to use the mainnet right away, you don't want to just like put it on a layer 2, for now, and then move it over to mainnet, or do just a private blockchain and host it, to kind of stage it there and go to the mainnet later. One of the things that you're going to want to know is that work step 1 and work step 2, if work step 2 needs to not start until the confirmation on chain of work step 1, it has to be able to tolerate about a minute of delay, right, on average. So that's important. If, however, you have a workflow, and there are a lot of cases like that where this is, there are real cases where you need that sequencing, and things would go badly if you didn't have nice clean sequencing of work step 1 and work step 2 with confirmation. There are a lot of things that's not required for. And in those cases, you're basically running at the speed of messaging, which NATS is 1 million transactions a second under optimal conditions. So not bad.
In your second scenario, you're batching, right?
No.
Okay.
No batching, but what you are doing is not worrying about the confirmations.
Sequencing. I get it. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, the mainnet doesn't have the proof on it until maybe later.
Yeah. So if you have essentially transactions that you don't depend on each other, then you can just spew out in parallel.
Correct. I think, and this is a very appropriate conversation for the road mapping committee here. I think that after a NIT core comes out, I would submit to a lot of folks on this call that a priority that we're going to want to get ahead of is mapping out how layer 2 and batching and other scaling techniques will and will not work in a baselining environment. So for example, if you did batching incorrectly, you could ruin your whole purchase order sequencing scheme. So it's how it's done needs some work. Would anybody disagree or have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. John, I also have some questions about the stats that you have on screen. If there's no more questions on or comments on that requirement.
Go ahead.
So down here in the 9% of max 470 steps on number 42 and number 1.8 million, what is the assumption of what are the assumptions you're making there?
Tether was the assumption, and Tether does about 9% of an average block. So we figured, as long as you stayed below Tether, you weren't going to destroy.
So this is basically an assumption that you're not destroying or consuming all traffic on the mainnet.
Yeah, it's kind of a bad idea to assume that the mainnet becomes our exclusive ledger for just baselining. So yeah, that would be the assumption there. There were some quite interesting conversations about what we could work on the Ethereum community, the core development community to support in terms of, like pre-baking some of the circuits and maybe doing some other things around beacon chain, things to, what we need, and I made it very, very clear, is that what we need is confidence as an enterprise community. We must have confidence that the roadmap ahead for ETH2 is reliable within the limits of normal developer, reliability. We try not to say things will ship on this date for reasons, right? Because things take the time that they will take. But people cannot have this a sense that there's an endlessly vanishing endpoint there that keeps on dropping farther back into the future. And I made it pretty clear that that's essential. And they said, yeah, we get it. So beacon chain better be out this year, or else then you start to question, well, where else can we do baselining? Right? I mean, you can do baselining with an Arduino in your closet as the common frame of reference. You don't have to use a mainnet, but we'd like to. Any more thoughts on this?
Yeah, John, I mean, as we're brainstorming on this, it seems also to me with some of these optimizations, you could be using something, I'm not going to necessarily use the technical term layer 2, but you could effectively have a separate message bus, which you then pin down to the mainnet occasionally, possibly. I don't know if that would be something that would be certainly take some of the constraints off the mainnet.
Yeah, I think as long as we can not have to run afoul of saying, okay, well, we told you that baselining means that you don't have to set up another state machine as a common frame of reference for your integration platform, right? That was the whole point of it. And then you don't want to then say, oh, and now you have to set up the sidechain, which is another state machine, right? One would have to scratch their head about that. So, but we already have things like Chainlink out there and other things where, there may be things that are directly linked to the Ethereum mainnet already have that working. Or what would be nice is if we weren't being told use layer 2, rather it's use this specific layer 2, right? Then that would be a lot more of a conversation than theoretically using a layer 2.
I think Connect Network has a solution. I think that would fit really well.
What is? Say that again.
Connect Network.
Connect Network.
Connect, CONNEXT.
Connect
Network. Connect. Yeah, they have a layer 2 solution that I think would fit well.
Interesting. So hopefully this conversation is spurring some thinking, and that will generate some epic generation, right? So put your epic writing hat on, watch that little video I referenced, and create some projects. And as August 20th approaches and passes, we're going to be into heavy road mapping from there. Demos, integrations. I mean, I think when people start to see that Coca-Cola is starting to baseline, I think maybe there'll be some deal flow out there for folks. So get ready. I'm hearing a variety of companies. I won't name names, but I talked to a variety of the VARs that are involved in baselining, and they're saying that they're getting really good inbound deal flow. So we just have to deliver.
Yeah, just one point here. We want to. I mean, we're currently in the POC phase, which is great. But if stuff goes to the production phase, then it gets significantly more interesting. Also with regard to cost and transactions on mainnet, and you'll see gas costs go up because people know that enterprises are transacting at higher volumes, and it's like you can't hide anything there, right? You don't know what's going exactly the details of the transaction, but you know that large enterprises are transacting on the mainnet through these contracts. That's going to be that's a no-brainer. So I think doing a layer 2 solution is using something like ZK rollups is an absolute requirement for any production implementation. Otherwise, you might as well go home.
And that's why we're exploring that very pattern, Andreas, right, within the context of the NIC core and the privacy package.
That's exactly right. I mean, the trade-off is an operator, but if you can exit just like with to mainnet and then reinitialize your state with another operator, you're good. So it's not and then you can have multiple operators doing the same thing, having a nice little competition. Who does it more effectively at what price?
Right on.
Hey, let me just probe at something, Andreas. You said basically, or I think I heard part of it, was the assumption that because people are seeing baseline traffic that enterprises are using the mainnet. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean you're advertising it like really loud. So as soon as you're starting to see any appreciable traffic on chain across contracts, you just need to go Etherscan. You do go bytecode. You relook at it, and oh, yep, baseline contract, right? So it will take any enterprising 16-year-old about an hour worth of work to get to that point, right? So, and then if a 16-year-old can do that, you'll have the miners also being very, very aware of that fact, especially if you're starting to use up more network traffic as production. If you want to move significant volume onto the baseline protocol from your purchasing, right? Think GE, think Daimler, think it's like think Coca-Cola, right? that's going to be noticeable. So in my opinion, the only choice without getting squeezed and having some unintended consequences for the entire community is a layer 2, because the incentives are too great to not squeeze.
Yeah, somebody should run.
As long as we're not saying that we're putting yet another state machine up that that has a profit motive, where everybody goes, hey, they're making money, and then they try to convince the other people to use their thing, and then you're back to silos and you're back to issues. So we don't want to replace the old with the old, right? We want to be slightly.
Right, but I mean, you can. I mean, there are variants of that, but you will not get around. You will not get around a layer 2 solution using either, it's like optimistic rollups or ZK rollups to make any significant headway and to avoid various type of attacks on that. In this case, I do one transactional block, and I put 15,000 transactions on.
Clearly ETH2. One of the things that we really need to see in ETH2 is noisy neighbor, right? I know of a major project that would love to go to the mainnet as soon as they can get their transactions per second up about 100x or 10x from where they are now, and not worrying about noisy neighbor. Once they have that, then they're happy to use mainnet.
It would be great to get someone like Phil Dan from IC3 to do some attack analysis.
Yeah, that's a really good, and again, on the standards and specifications work, we really need to, it's important to say, oh, this could be a problem, let's make it a requirement, right? So we say, anything going on chain, we've said this since the beginning of the project, must look like noise, must sound like a metronome. Anybody not involved in our secret doesn't know we have one, right? So, we must.
Yeah, you don't need to know the details though, John. You just need to know that it is of that type, right? And that's the point.
As long as everything of that type looks exactly the same, and you have enough chaff in there that you don't know which ones are real ones. If you can do cluster analysis, if you can generate classifiers, then we're not doing our job.
So, I mean, if you had sounds like, Kyle, this is what you're saying, like if you bake it basically into the functionality of something like init core, the common pattern that sounds like we're thinking about, which is I have some kind of regular checkpoints into a main chain, but I'm running a lot of traffic over another layer. That might be an interesting pattern. I also think that if you look at a lot of the traffic obfuscation schemes, they basically are running a beacon type of traffic, and then that helps to provide a baseline where it's hard to see what else is going on.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. And also the research that Andreas has been looking into follows the core pattern of our privacy package. So it sort of just enables various privacy enabled or advanced privacy protocols to function under the same contract, not smart contract, but just API contract. So we can, we should be able to be pretty flexible to mix and match these patterns.
Yeah, okay. Just to, hey John, one other thing. One of the things that I think from an enterprise is perspective is if you look at where enterprise has been comfortable, it's in private chains. So I've been working with the Envision blockchain team to actually look at how we could have a pattern that works where you're using a private chain and also public chain or mainnet. so that, you know, effectively you could have, you know, a private chain being the side chain, right, to mainnet, and do more than just, you know, what other people have done, which is, you know, posting transactions to main chain to maintain state, to do it a little more thoughtfully.
Well, I think that's a great use case for the baseline protocol, right? It's just cross-chain communication in general.
Yes. In the interest of time, we should probably move on. I want to make sure Stephen gets some time to discuss a thing that he's just generated, or that the security team has generated. Any other thoughts on this? Last word? Okay. Stephen, would you like to hop up next, and then we'll go through, if we have time. We do have several epics left, so if maybe if you could take 5 minutes on the, or 5 or 10, then we can move forward.
Yeah, I'll take way less than that.
You want to share screen, or you want me to do it?
If you got it ready, otherwise I'd have to pull it up.
Hang on. All right, take it away.
Sure. You know, Kyle and I worked on a document to basically be a rebuttal for what John had definitely circulated around, why generally CISOs would not use the mainnet for business. So we took those 10 points, basically point by point. The basic takeaway from the document here is that the baseline protocol is not intended to replace systems of record. And I think that's something that Kyle and I agreed we should really harp on here, because a lot of what we saw was when people were coming to baseline, there was a lot of, hey, am I going to have to change this? Hey, am I going to have to change that? And really, you know, to John's original point, it's supposed to be boring, right? You know, the excitement is going to be in your statements of records and all that. We'll continue to build connectors and everything that we're doing here, and find creative uses for mainnet. But with respect to why I think your average CISO would be averse to using baseline, I think the document went pretty deep into why, you know, even myself as someone who's in security would, I mean, I'm running toward baseline, right? This is solving problems that I have. This is solving problems I think I'm going to have. And, you know, this is from a security perspective, something that we wanted everyone to see. You know, definitely big shout out to Stacy, who helped put this together in a very graphically appeasing form. Can't thank her enough for that. And just going to leave it out here for anyone else. We're going to put this up on the repo and circulate it to where it needs to be. And anyone that has questions, feel free to either reach out to Kyle or myself. And that's that. And just for your information, at the very bottom is the link to the original article that that John had originally pointed to, CISO the CISO. CISO the CISO. You know, we then moved this to CISO/Cecilia the CISO responses. So that's it. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Is that link available somewhere publicly, Stephen? Or is it published yet?
Yeah, we're going to publish it today.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome, Stephen. And if you can, yeah, I think that there's probably a lot of people interested in what, you know, in your conclusions, and probably some more thoughts.
Hey, just a thought, John. Great work, by the way. Looks awesome. Would it be possible to take a critical enterprise-y view of that before it's promoted on Twitter, which is, I know, the next thing that's going to happen as soon as it's available publicly. And I know, Stephen, you have great experience in this, but I just figure, you know, thinking about it from a PR lens perspective might be a good idea.
Yeah. This is all about peer review, man. Smash at it, right? Like we want to get the best information out there. I'm a man of science. I love peer review. So I welcome any and all critiques. Sure Kyle does too. Look, this is about making sure people have all the information they need about baseline. We want people to come in informed if they can, to provide better outputs for the community at large, right? We know we're working on something big here, and we want to just put in as much quality work as we can. So thank you.
Suggestion, Stephen, this is great. I've been reading through it. Why don't we take the content itself? The formatting is nice, by the way, but it's in PDF. Why don't we take the content itself, and if you could put it in the repo, either in an issue or in a .md, so that people can contribute spell checks and everything else, that'd be great. And maybe we can release this on the 20th with the rest of the package.
Yeah, sounds good.
I mean, yeah, releasing. I mean, it's not like anybody watching this video this week will see it, but we can make it the official word at that time if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay, so we got a little time. That's good.
Yes.
I think it would be actually good to have each one of these as maybe a separate issue. That way you can, post ideas and responses on each one.
Great idea. Yeah, you could put up an epic in the roadmap just to make it easy for people, and then put a bunch of mini issues underneath that.
Sure.
And then or just make one big epic.
Either that, if we want to make it part of the release, Stephen could commit it to the init core branch, and it could get reviewed there.
Yeah, I mean, these are questions that I think are going to keep coming up, especially as new security talent or just generally people, but definitely security folks come in. These things I think are going to be front of mind for them.
Maybe we'd make this part of the one of the readmes in the actual branch.
Yes.
That way it can get reviewed in line.
Right on. Okay, so use for folks that are interested in this. Keep an eye on the general channel in Slack. Stephen, would that be an appropriate place for you to let people know?
Yes.
What the epic is going forward?
Yes.
Okay, terrific.
Just one other comment. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to say one other general comment on this is for people who haven't seen the original 10 points, maybe we should have a page that highlights those somehow. Anyway.
Yeah, I'll map them back. Right, they're at the bottom of this document. That's linkable, but in the epics we'll make it more known.
Great work, guys. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're into the end game here. Please don't be shy. If somebody's got something that they need to talk about that I've missed, remember, by the way, that the best way to get on the agenda is to put something in here. Last week we had a bunch of stuff in the comments ahead of time, so I was able to work those into the agenda. Knew how much load we were going to take. Just as a reminder to everybody to maybe come in ahead of the game with those things. But having said that, if you have anything that I'm missing, please let me know now. All right. Well, let's go over and just do a final sweep on new epics. So in the repo, we have well, this actually needs to be in the other repo feed DID. Did I select the wrong repo here? Yes, I did. There we go. So we have three new epics that need to be reviewed. Anais, I think this is yours.
Yes, that's correct. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, great. So when I started in the project and I went through the different epics and issues, one thing and just to make it clear, I'm not a developer, so it was very important to me to understand very quickly what the project is about, what are the core key categories, and what are the use cases to have a better understanding. So of course I understood the baseline protocol and what is aimed to achieve, but I needed to have a better understanding of the current status. So this this issue here is basically to have a consolidated view, not only for new joiner to the project, but also whoever wants to see it that way, of where we are and the quick access to the relevant issues. So in terms of the specification mainly, so the mainnet specification, the use cases. So as an example, if you click on 103 and 102, what I try to do is to have all the list of all use cases to have a better understanding of what industry, what proof of concept are being worked on, and those kind of things. So hopefully it's helpful. Actually, it helped me, and I will maintain those. So as new use cases are coming or are being fed into the repo, I will add them. On the use cases, I also noticed, which does not help, again, non-developers. I'm sure you all understand what you're doing. But to have, if you click on 103, please, on the related, yeah. Yes. So to have a template to clearly understand in terms of industry, vertical, the enterprise domain, and what business processes we are tackling and what are the key systems. So if you scroll down a little bit, so it's an idea. So whoever is working on a use case, it's a very, very simple snapshot for a person who goes into the issue to understand, okay, what is this use case about? Who are the key personas or actors, and what are the key components and if there is a demo, the link to the demo. I think it will help the broader community, and it will help a lot for people like me who may want to contribute on the documentation side. It will really give us like a skeleton, something to start with to grasp the project a little bit faster. Does that make sense?
Well, not only does it make sense, but I'm about to weep with joy. This is, I'm definitely going to have to be a praying person more, because, you know, my prayers for this kind of contribution have been answered. Thank you
I'm glad.
for your work. You know, well done. And,
thank you.
I can tell people from smiles I'm seeing, and this is the kind of, this is great, just great community contribution, and this is emblematic of what we should be seeing from the community. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I just have one last issue. It's number 104, and this is more about, I think, based on what I understood from what has been said so far, is on the 20th that it will, but in terms of if in the previous meetings, or if a the approach to how we are tackling specification writing, functional and non-functional, and is there some thought or any models that we could use as a starting point to ensure that we don't, from an enterprise point of view, and from all the objection handling, from all the difficult CIO, etc., CTO, that we know the core components. And this is, from my perspective, being able to understand what are the core components of an enterprise service bus. My approach would be, we don't even think about Ethereum first, because it's, yes, we want to use it as a mainnet, but what should this layer or should look like, regardless of blockchain, regardless of anything? Those are the type of answers that when I work with leaders, those are the type of questions that will keep coming. And this is where I want to be able to understand and explain.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. Yeah. And just in the interest of time, we do have one last thing. And if I can cut you off at this point, this is great. We had a lot to talk about today. So we didn't get to all of the epics, but I encourage everyone to take a look, and we'll get some offline work on making sure that these are processed into the correct pipelines. Both this one and these others. So thanks for that. For those who can stay on, we're at the top of the hour, but if anybody can stay on for another 5 minutes, Avia Kraft has some stuff to share as well, and I'd like to give her the time.
Sure. Let me just get this started.
Anais, wonderful work there. Not to cut you short.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Oh yeah. Anais, by the way, I think what you did is going to be immediately relevant to what I'm about to do, and we should probably talk about it offline. But yeah, I would love to follow up with you about this. So anyway, just to quickly go through these decks, for everyone who's interested in presenting Baseline as an idea to executive leadership, I want to just show you that we have kind of a basic template deck that you can now use. And we've had this going for a while. The community put this together, so it's been great. But essentially, the first thing we do here in this deck is define what baseline is in a really clear way. And then we start by kind of giving some statistics about why executives should care about this, how it's going to impact their long-term business strategy. And, you know, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through each bullet on here, but you can take a look at this at any time. I'll post it in Slack. You know, and we're covering some major issues here, primarily around like lost inventory and disputes, and why there's a huge need for this for any enterprise organization, really. And each slide just kind of goes through more detail about that. So this provides some information about GitHub and active members, although it should be updated. And this gives some idea of kind of what we've already done and current integrations, in addition to the project roadmap, where to use Baseline. You know, this might be good if you're talking to someone who might be interested but not sure how to apply it within their own business. So this has a bunch of possible use cases. We also have some information about specifications, kind of just those basic points again, and obviously links for learning more and joining the community. And I just want to also give credit to everyone who contributed to this. So many people have worked on it. Thank you so much. And we have some additional slides that kind of go into detail about the business workflow, you know, how and when to baseline systems, what that looks like, how it works. And I would encourage anyone who's interested in speaking with, you know, leadership of any company, or maybe just people who are curious, to use this deck and take the slides and make them yours. This is just a starting point. You know, the best thing to do is to take it and use it for your particular situation. Now, along those lines, I want to give another demonstration of just kind of how we've done that with life limited parts, which is an aerospace use case. So it was myself, Jason Pansis, Michael Urban, Daniel Norkin, and Nick Kritikos. Thank you all for those of you who are online. And we basically found that this is a major problem in the aerospace industry. Life limited parts are kind of these parts that may or may not be directly in use, but a back-to-birth mandate record is mandated by the FAA if it be used in another airplane. However, many owners don't want to actually resell a part, or they lose the original data about that part. So it's extremely expensive. Airplanes end up not being in the air, which makes them exponentially more expensive. And there's just an extreme lack of alignment in systems of record throughout that supply chain. So basically, in the end, this results in the rising cost of used parts. And we think that by using Baseline, we can directly impact this. You know, we can have the necessary documentation to trace the history of parts, which improves safety. You know, we don't need to necessarily change the airline industry ERP systems. And obviously, we could directly control data sharing and visibility. And actually, it's interesting, but one of the leading ERP management softwares systems in the airline industry is already integrated with Microsoft Dynamics NAV or NAV. And I think that's just a really great starting point for integration. So going back to what I said about taking slides from the previous deck, this is a good example of just, you know, take what you need, put it into your own deck. We're putting it here just to show some statistics relevant to the airline industry and just in general. I think it's relevant to always note counterparties and the systems of record being discussed, but you know, this is a huge industry. It's rapidly growing. Air cargo traffic in and of itself, just that entire supply chain is still very much, I wouldn't call it outdated, but it hasn't really been at the forefront of adopting these new technologies. So I think this is a fantastic use case. And I wanted to thank again everyone who helped put this deck together. Sorry for rushing through, but yeah, I think this is a good example. And Aeneas, when you were talking about kind of different organization methods for use cases, I think we can definitely give you this document or, talk more about how to integrate, because this is just really easy to apply to whatever situation you might be in or your company might be in. So anyway, that was my super brief deck overview. Thank you all. And also we have an upcoming video that I'm hoping to release by August, probably 15th, a little bit before the init core merge. And then we're also actively looking for people to contribute to the next video, which will be coming out in early September. And that one is going to be community focused as well. But if you're interested in getting involved, please message me on Slack. I would love to have a bunch of people featured talking about how the community has really helped build all of these really great innovative technologies. So that's a summary.
Fantastic. Thank you.
That's great. Could we also publish, I was going to say just really quickly. So I saw these are PDFs. Could we also publish like either Google or PowerPoint so that it's easier to drop into those formats?
So these are actually all in Google Doc format. I'm going to post the links in Slack. I just put them in PDFs for this presentation. Awesome. But yeah.
Terrific. And
one quick sorry, John. It's probably worthwhile to publish your PDFs so you have a point in time reference also.
Yeah, definitely. That'll be included in the post.
And we should get Kyle and folks to update some of the workflow stuff will change. There's a really good graphic from Sam Stokes that's in the repo now. So we've got some updates that we can do. And that's fantastic. Thank you, Avi. And I'm really excited. If anybody would like to be on that video, I don't know if the video team has time for more interviews, but it's just going to be a great video with all sorts of people. So if you'd like to have your time on that video, please reach out.
Yeah, we're taking more interviews. So please, if you want to be in it, let me know and I will get you in there.
Right on. Last word on this. One of the things that was very important, I thought, was the emphasis on the systems of record. I've seen a lot of other projects where folks are selling, basically the baseline pattern, but then saying, and here you got to put all your data in this Mongo database or this new database, right? So again, I like the idea of saying no. Keep your SAP, keep your Ariba, keep your Oracle and Dynamics. And that's the focal point, right? I think that's a powerful idea. It's a pretty simple one, but a powerful one. And with that, York, that's a good point about integration guides. I think that I'll make sure that we put that on the list of things to do. Are there any other thoughts? We're way over time today, but I thought it was a pretty good meeting.
Just one quick comment, John and York. Sorry for interrupting you twice in a row. I think a lot of this content, when it comes to the content that Stephen and Kyle put together, as well as the stack from Avia, when you go, say you know nothing about Baseline, you read it in an article, you go Google it, the first thing that comes up is the top level domain for Baseline. And I think it might be worth considering having a folder or some sort of directory there where people don't necessarily have to join the Slack, and they can quickly think of, if you're a business user or technical user, you can quickly download these more market development orientated pieces of collateral that quickly answer, like, why Baseline? What are the situations where I want to use it, where I don't want to use it, stuff like that. So it might be worth considering.
Great idea, Joe. It's good to see you there, by the way. Anything else? Okay, gone. Wonderful meeting, everybody. Looking forward to see you in the next 2 weeks. Stay tuned for more exciting news and show up for the Baseline show on Wednesday at noon.
Good stuff. Take care, everyone.
Cheers, everyone.
Great everyone.
Bye.